Right, people? Do you drown your sorrows in alcohol? Do you smoke to clear your mind? What about some less obvious coping behaviors like being a control freak or always having to be in a relationship or eating too much or too little or worrying about everything excessively? I'm not judging. We all handle our pain in different ways. And some people don't ever even get around to admitting they have any pain. For me, handling pain has looked like experiencing bouts of depression as a result of repressed anger, excessive worrying, and trying to control various situations. As a child, I often felt unstable because of various circumstances around me. And as I've gotten older, I can see how I've compensated for that by trying to control many things and people around me. We all handle our pain differently, but I believe the first step to healing is to admit it's there. So many people want to deny or downplay their pain under the guise of, oh, that was so long ago, or I just don't think about it. We live in a society that doesn't encourage getting to the root cause of our issues, so this makes sense. But to be free from any pain, you have to own it. For example, how often do you hear people say, it really hurts my feelings when you do that? Or, I'm honestly still angry about what happened to me as a kid. We live in a society where people are afraid or don't know how to own their feelings. They just sweep them under the rug, pretending that they don't exist and thinking that the pain will somehow heal itself. Newsflash, it doesn't. You have to own it before you can release it. For me, depending on the season in life, owning the pain has looked differently. It's looked like going to counseling or joining a recovery group. It's looked like confiding in my accountability partners or my mom, or listening to good Christian teaching, or blogging, or crying out to God. And what I'm learning is ultimately it looks like realizing there's a higher power that's even bigger than my pain. NBA superstar Lamar Odom was recently hospitalized after overdosing at a brothel. A quick study of Lamar's past shows he was well acquainted with pain. As a child, his mother died from cancer when he was 12. His dad was a heroin addict, and he experienced the death of a child from sudden infant death syndrome. We don't know how much of his pain had been addressed, but I think it's safe to say he was still struggling, just like a lot of people today. A lot of people deny their pain and instead choose to numb it. This looks like drug addictions, alcohol abuse, too many sex partners, and other out of balance behaviors. However, let me be clear. You don't have to have an addiction to be hurting. A lot of people's pain is under the surface and it comes out in various ways. Just because you may not abuse any outside substances does not mean you're not hurting in some way. In our society, women are typically thought of as the only group that's afraid of being single. But I know many men like that too. I know a guy, actually a few, who is terrified of being single. Even though these fears aren't voiced because of some abandonment experienced in childhood, he's afraid of being alone and jumps from girlfriend to girlfriend to girlfriend. He, like many people, doesn't slow down long enough to acknowledge and address the pain inside. So around that mountain, once again they go. We're all familiar with the popular TV drama series titled The Walking Dead. Well, I would describe us as a society as the walking wounded. In World War II, the term walking wounded was used to define injured persons who were of a relatively low priority from a first aid perspective. These patients had been hurt in the war, but were conscious and breathing with only relatively minor injuries. Thus, they were capable of walking. I think this represents us as a society well. We give our emotional pain low priority on the scale of life and things to do. Our careers, appearances, dating life, and weekly reality show fixes are much more important than our emotional health. Our drive to get married and start a family is much more important than addressing our pain. And our personal goals and dreams for our life are definitely much more important than addressing our pain. We don't verbally say this, but this is how we behave. So what will you do with your pain? You have a choice on how you handle it. You have a choice to land on the positive side or the negative side of your circumstances. Like the prodigal son, all of us, sooner or later, have to come to our senses and turn to God with our pain. Not a spouse, not a career, not a significant other, but our Father, who's always waiting for us with open arms. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life. Deuteronomy 30:19. Thank you.